Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to episode 31 of the SNEIDER CUT. I am your handsome host, Jeff Sneider, at the SNEIDER, and with me today is, I don't know what your actual title is. It's Thadd Williams from Collider Video.
I don't know what my actual title is either. I'm the director of video programming, I guess.
He directs, he produces, he's the man.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, you're kind of like Dad, and Dad always he always gets overlooked. And so I'm thinking let's talk to Thadd. I haven't heard from you, buddy. You're not on Slack like everybody else.
Yeah, I know. I try to stay busy.
I saw you just turned off your notifications after I slapped you 3 times in a row.
I turned them off because we were going to start recording, so I didn't want them dinging while.
That makes sense. I didn't know if it was me.
No. Why are you still wearing a mask?
Yeah, we are social distancing. I'm 3 feet away from my computer. Thadd's 3 feet away from his computer. We're 6 feet apart. No, yeah. I'll take it off. I'm wearing, by the way, my Needham soccer shirt from 1997.
Wow.
Okay, this shirt is older than some of our viewers. I wore this when I was 13 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Did you play any sports growing up then?
I played like pee-wee baseball for a long time. I was terrible. I was usually in the outfield, but my dad wanted to coach the team, which was why I think I kept playing, because he wanted to be there as a coach. That was the real reason I was there. I
never did youth baseball because early on I did t-ball, and I would just keep hitting that tee, and the ball would just fall off, and I was terrible.
Yeah. I did t-ball once, and somehow I still managed to get hit in the face with a ball. I don't know how that happened.
Very dangerous t-ball.
Yeah.
Be careful. I was never good at anything where you had to hold something like a racket or a stick. Anyways, we are here to talk about film and television. So Thadd, tell me how are you? What are you watching these days? How are you filling your hours, entertaining yourself these days?
Well, I'm watching a lot. I feel like everyone's watching more than they ever anticipated. Because I'm busy here during the work day. I'm lucky enough that I'm still gainfully employed and having to work during the work day.
Yeah.
But at night, it's like I'm not going out. I'm not doing any sort of activities other than a bunch of puzzles that are piling up in my living room. So
yeah, I have puzzles for sale, everybody. Puzzles for sale.
I've started trading them. I've socially distanced with friends and done contact-free trade-offs of puzzles. So I'm currently doing a Golden Girls puzzle that someone gifted me.
The germs are still all over.
I know, it's cardboard. You gotta let it sit for a little while and
disinfect everything.
Just do the whole puzzle with gloves on.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of movie puzzles. We just did 16 candles.
Ooh. Yeah. How many pieces in the 16 candles puzzle?
Only 500.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's a good number.
You have to get your hands on some of these puzzles.
Yeah.
I bought some new Mondo puzzles, actually.
Oh, that's fun.
For the poster that I covet more than any other. It's a poster of the front of the Home Alone house.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, they put out 1,000-piece puzzle, so that is hopefully on the way soon. All right, so you're watching a ton of stuff, but what is the best stuff that you're watching?
Okay, well, all right. So I've been watching a ton. There's some stuff that finished up while we began this whole thing. Like I finished up Star Trek Picard, finished up Better Call Saul, just ended. This season I thought was utterly fantastic. I'm still in that camp where it's like, is this better than Breaking Bad, or is it only better than Breaking Bad because we know the world of Breaking Bad? I know you fell off of it in season 1, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I stopped midway through season 1 because it was slow, and I was like, this is no Breaking Bad. But now the mere fact that people are discussing, is this, I don't even care if it's not as good as Breaking Bad. If it's in the discussion, then it's like, shit, I should probably watch this.
I mean, if for nothing else, the way that Peter Gould and the team have created the storylines, the writing on the show, you feel for characters even though you know their eventual outcome. I mean, it's doing everything right that a prequel should do, while still fully engrossing you in new stories and new characters. There's been some amazing guest stars and supporting cast members over the years. I highly recommend it. If you're looking for one thing to just blast through while you're in quarantine, I mean, I would recommend that. It's each season's only 10 episodes. So I think all the first 4 are all on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure AMC is like, giving their programming away right now because
I came late to the party on Breaking Bad too. And
I think I started on Breaking Bad in like the middle of season 3 and then like binged it all and then got ready to watch it week to week, like in the last couple seasons.
Did you watch any more episodes of Dave?
I've watched the first 3 episodes of Dave.
Okay.
I haven't caught up past that.
So what are your initial impressions of Little Dicky?
I mean, I think it's really funny. I love Jeff Schaefer, and I love that whole team.
Notification.
I know. I muted one Slack. I didn't mute the second Slack. Gotcha. Forget I'm in 2 channels sometimes. The first couple episodes I thought were really, really smart, really funny. Are you comparing it to Atlanta a lot, or do you feel like it's its own thing?
Atlanta was a show that I also stopped watching through the first season, and I should probably go back to that.
You got time, Jeff. You don't have any excuses anymore.
Listen, I was talking with Justin Kroll about this. Things are going to dry up this summer.
Yeah.
Like we have entertainment now, but I feel like we're going to hit a dry patch soon. And there always is a dry patch in the summer, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could get grim. Grim. So Better Call Saul and I guess a show like Atlanta would be perfect to go back to.
Yeah.
Well, I finished all of Dave. I mean, I loved it. I think you haven't met like Benny Blanco yet. Do you know this guy, Benny Blanco?
No.
Never heard of him. All right.
It's like vaguely ringing a bell, but
he is like a big time music producer.
Okay.
He like has like 20 #1 hits. Like Bieber, all these people have worked with him.
Gotcha.
He becomes the character in the show, and he like looks
playing himself.
Huh?
He's playing himself on the show.
Yeah, he's playing himself.
Okay.
And he basically looks like Andre the Giant meets Danny DeVito.
Okay. So
it's incredible.
The stature of Andre the Giant.
The stature of Danny DeVito with the face of Andre the Giant. It's incredible.
Okay.
The guy is amazing, like I would build a whole spin-off show around him. But I love Gata. You haven't seen Gata's big episode, which is episode 5.
What little I've seen of Gata, I loved. So
it's a special show.
Yeah, now I think the finale just aired this week, right? So
yeah,
I think I can binge it all now on
yeah, exactly.
On FX for Hulu.
Haven't started watching Dave. Yeah, it's amazing.
Did you watch the other Hulu shows like Little Fires or Mrs. America?
I am watching Mrs. America. It's really good. I'm 2 episodes in, so I just watched the Gloria Steinem episode.
Okay.
Kate Blanchett's fantastic. Stephanie really likes it. Like it's a show that there's common ground. We can both be like, this is really good. What do you think?
I'm liking it. I think I'm one ahead of you because I just watched the 3rd episode, which was Shirley Chisholm's episode, I think.
Okay.
Uzo Aduba.
Yep.
Really, really strong. I like so far I like the conceit of focusing on one person in each episode. I think all the casting is really, really impressive. I love Rose Byrne as Gloria Steinem.
Rose Byrne as Gloria Steinem is fantastic. She's wonderful. But I love Tracy Ullman.
Yeah. Yes. Anytime you can get Tracy Ullman in, she's great. And Margot Martindale is fantastic in everything.
I need Tracy Ullman and Joe Pesci to play a married couple in a movie.
You want who? Tracy and Joe Pesci?
Tracy Ullman and Joe Pesci.
Okay. I would watch that.
Rom-com. Yeah, those two. My God. All right. What else? What else are you watching? Are you watching? Okay. I'm so confused about these Netflix series. I Am Not Okay With This and Never Have I Ever. What are these young shows? Yeah,
I haven't started either. I've heard I'm Not Okay With This is fantastic from multiple people in multiple age groups. So I'm really looking forward to that one. But I haven't started it. I think My wife might have watched that one already. I forget. She started one or two of them, and I'm not sure
I
which
can't
one.
even keep them track. Yeah, exactly. It's like the one with Sophia Lillis is.
That's I Am Not Okay
I
With
Am Not
This.
Okay With This. Okay.
Never Have I Ever is the one that just premiered.
Okay.
And I think Mindy Kaling produces.
All right.
I think.
It's the never.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. Did you ever watch Parks and Rec? Did you watch the special last night?
Oh yeah. No, we could talk about that, of course. I did watch Parks and Rec. That's a show I fell off halfway, but I've been rewatching it lately with Stephanie for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it was great to see a new episode with those guys. What did you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, I loved it. I thought that having watched the series all the way through, and like the way that it ends, I don't want to spoil it for you, but the way that it ends and the matchups all the characters do, to then jump back into that world 5 years later, I think it is. But I thought it was probably easily the best quarantine show thing that's happened so far. I mean, like the first SNL at Home I thought was cute but not funny. The second episode, I think they figured out how to do it to actually create sketches that weren't just parodies of Zoom calls.
Right.
But this felt organic, and it felt like they really had a good footing on how it could work. And really, it was just a well filmed table read. I felt like it was like they had a funny script to work from, and then they just threw cameras and ring lights in front of everybody and filmed the whole thing. And I noticed it was they gave the director credit to their longtime editor because he crafted the whole thing and built the whole show based on all this footage, and they did a really good job with it. I was really impressed.
I thought it was great to see Nick Offerman in that character again. He was probably my favorite. It's a tough job because you have to service 10 characters and then all these other like side characters who everybody loves.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long the special was, whether it was 22 minutes or a full half hour, but yeah, I think it's tricky. Did you think that Aziz was marginalized at all?
Yeah, I think he was, and I think that might have been by design. I mean, obviously he's, had his problems in the press
But the mere fact that he's on this special speaks to the fact that I think he's been accepted back into the community.
Yeah, I think he wasn't written out of the show. Like they didn't say Tom got hit by a truck. Like they didn't do it that way. And they still featured him, but obviously they didn't harp on him too much. But I thought that the way that they played, I think if you were watching it without knowing the news thing, I don't think you would necessarily say like, oh, there wasn't a lot of Tom in that. Like I don't think they didn't make it so brief that you felt like it was crazy.
You just felt like he wasn't singing when everybody was singing that.
Yeah, I was kind of singing along on the couch, and I wasn't necessarily paying attention to every single box.
I am just laughing, picturing you singing along on your couch.
I mean, always you got to pour one out for little Sebastian. It was very heartwarming and sweet.
That's what you do. Yeah, listen, I think it was a lot of fun, and I wouldn't be opposed to seeing other shows, reunite for charity, particularly,
Yeah, well, because I mean, a lot of them have been doing like actual Zoom calls, like this, just like shooting the shit and catching up and stuff.
Right.
But there was something uniquely powerful that they were able to reopen the writers' room and get the staff together and write one more episode that I thought really worked. Because I mean, it could have easily gone the other way.
Right.
Like so many reunions, specials, and things that have been happening for decades never really live up to the original. So it could have been a total failure. I was pleasantly surprised that Schur and company pulled it off.
Is there anything that you're really I was going to ask if there's anything that you're really looking forward to. One of those things for me is Lovecraft Country. Did you watch that trailer that just came out?
Yeah, I did. That looks awesome. I remember when they were announcing that a while back, I'd forgotten about it, and then this trailer just kind of pops up. Really, like that looks really impressive. Do you know more about did you read the book? Do you know
I
more
didn't
about the
really
story?
read. No, I didn't read the book. I didn't grow up reading Lovecraft. I was more
Yeah.
of a Stephen King kid. But I think that this is the kind of show that HBO could really benefit from, particularly right now. I imagine it's slated for a summer premiere. I don't know if there was a premiere date on that trailer. I wasn't paying attention if it was like June or July, but
I think it was. I think it said summer. It might be. Yeah, it might be in June. I know. Perry Mason starts at the end of June with
okay.
Matthew Reese, which I'm
That could
looking
be when
forward to.
things turn over for the network. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. The idea of Jordan Peele, J.J. Abrams working together, Misha Green's a really promising young TV creator. So yeah.
Yeah, it looks really strong, and yeah, I mean HBO. I'm glad that they're diversifying their programming as much as they are in the wake of Game of Thrones. Like they're trying a lot of shows. They're doing a lot of limited series. Plot Against America just finished, which I thought was really strong.
So I watched one episode and I was like, "This is
It
too
was
slow."
the worst pilot I've like. It was so slow. It was unbearably slow, and I think when I watched the pilot, the second episode had already aired. So or people had reviewed the first three or something, and I was like, all right, I'm going to push through because it's David Simon. I think he knows what he's doing. But that pilot was just hard to get through,
Yeah.
and because nothing happened. And then by the second episode, it felt like it started to make sense why they plotted it the way that they did. No pun intended. Because I felt like it was a lot of character development, so that when things started to move forward in the second and third hours, you needed that foundation. But
Sure.
it was hard. It was really hard.
Yeah, it's not something I've given up on. It's just something I
Yeah.
haven't gone back to. The same with Devs. The same with
I haven't started Devs yet.
Elsewhere. Huh?
I haven't started Devs yet.
Yeah, I think you just really have to be in the mood for Devs, and I don't know that I can be in the mood for it like 10 nights in a row or whatever it is, because
Yeah.
it also seems like one you can't binge. Like it seems like each episode is really like a lot to chew on.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to be in the right mood. Dispatches from Elsewhere, same thing with a Jason Segel show. Did you give that a shot? No.
I didn't. I kept seeing ads for it during Better Call Saul, and it didn't look. It looked a hair too out there for me. Like I'd have to be in a really, really interesting headspace to binge that show or to watch that on. And like also in quarantine, like I'm sure you're experiencing this. Like most viewings have to be a compromise because
Right.
like it's not like I can wait for like one night a week where my wife goes out with her friends and I'm like home on the couch and can like binge whatever nerdy shows I want to. Like I have to say like, do you want to watch this? And then we have to kind of make an agreement.
So do you guys go to bed together?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
I'm
Downey
an
is
early riser, but I'm not a late night.
I'm watching TV and from 9 until 1 or 2 in the morning because she's asleep, so I get to watch what I want.
I hear you. That's a good idea. I've snuck in some time. I'll do it like when I was watching Picard, I was getting up super early in the morning and watching it because it would drop on a Wednesday night.
You're right. I'd come into the office, you guys, and be like, "Did you guys see Picard this morning?" And I was like, "What do you mean this morning?" Like, "Oh, we got up at 5 in the morning to watch Picard." I was like, "What?"
I'm an early guy. I'm an early riser. That's just my nature.
You're wild.
You don't watch Westworld, do you?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's another show. Like 5 episodes, first season, and I was like, no.
I can't fault anyone that says they don't want to watch that show, but I wholly enjoy
It's
it.
like I know I need to go back and finish Better Call Saul or whatever, but like, am I crazy? Like those are the shows I've given up on. Better Call Saul, Westworld, Devs.
I would say Saul is the one of those three that like definitively you need to give a second chance.
Right. All right.
Now, have you been doing any of the movie rental things? I mean, obviously for work you get some early access and stuff, but like these movies that are moving out of theaters and into.
Oh no one's giving me early access to any of those. Thanks a lot, Hollywood. No, I bought The Gentleman. I mean, I'd already seen The Gentleman, so but I did buy The Gentleman. I bought The Hunt. I hadn't seen that.
Okay.
Press screening. What else did I buy? I buy a bunch of stuff, and I'm renting a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I would say I'm a very healthy iTunes user.
Okay.
I got the Apple TV. What do you use?
I've got like my TV's got a bunch of different apps like programmed in, so I could buy stuff from Apple, or I can connect to Prime or whatever.
Okay.
I think I could
love the
buy
Apple
stuff on
TV.
Google if I wanted to.
I see.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, I mean, what have I been watching? God, on VOD. I have to update our VOD utility article. I've been putting that off for like 3 weeks. Because most of the VOD movies are obviously not that good. You know,
obviously but now for the first time, it's like it's bigger titles. It's not movies that like never were going to get theatrical.
I mean, but it's not, the titles aren't that much bigger. Like the stuff like, you know, the Seth Rogen movie, that is going to HBO Max. The Lovebirds with Issa Rae, that is going to Netflix, you know?
Right.
So like the streamers are kind of picking everything up. VOD is getting the Judd Apatow movie.
Yeah.
A big deal. And so, you know, let's talk about sort of the war of words that sort of set off this week, because it was pretty wild.
Yeah.
So you have Universal saying, hey, we're releasing the Judd Apatow movie, which, you know, I'd been waiting for them to put out a movie for adults, not just these family titles.
Sure.
That's going to skip theaters and go straight to VOD. You know, I think that movie certainly had a ceiling box office wise. Like, I think Pete Davidson is, you know, going to be a movie star, could be a movie star like a Seth Rogen sort of is. But he's not yet. And so, you know, that movie would have been lucky to open to like 12 to 14 million, even with Judd's name. Are you surprised that it's going VOD? Like, what was your initial reaction to that move?
I wasn't surprised. Well, all right. So because you could go one of two ways. You could put it into a very crowded fall, which is going to be like all of the movies that we're not seeing right now. And
right.
then I do agree with you. I think it is like a 12 to 14. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but like, I mean, Seth Rogen wasn't a household name when Knocked Up came out.
Right.
Steve Carell was closer for 40-Year-Old Virgin. Amy Schumer was closer for Trainwreck. But like, I think Pete has a large enough name for a decent opening. I don't know if a lot of his fans necessarily would have flocked to opening weekend per se. But in the fall, it would have gotten lost. And so I think your only other option would be like, would they hold it a whole year, which I think is strategically problematic for them, because I don't know what other projects Pete's been working on in that, or Judd has been working on, that they might want to actually push into the next year. Also, you know, Pete's personal life is always in free for all, and they might not necessarily want to gamble on him being up for doing press a year from now. So I don't know if it was a combination of those factors, or if they just looked at the numbers and said like, I mean, Trolls was a success. Maybe adults want a comedy of their own.
Trolls was like not necessarily a success. I mean, $100 million is a nice figure to announce, but the movie still cost around $100 million, and they still spent around $100 million or $90 million on marketing and whatnot. So like, you know, while it wasn't a failure. I'm not going to say that, but I don't think it was the roaring success that Universal made it out to be. It's just when you get interviewed by the Wall Street Journal, you have to sort of take a victory lap and float. With regard to, you know, the Apatow movie, it's like, so what is it? So it right, at $20, Trolls 2 made $100 million. So that means 5 million people rented it.
Right. 5 million houses.
Right, 5 million houses. So let's say 2.5 million. Let's say half that number would rent an Apatow movie, and it gets 50 million. Like, if you are selling $10 movie tickets, you're only getting half that, you know, because the other half's going to the theater. Now you don't have to share. Now you don't have to share anything, maybe other than paying like iTunes or you know, an Xfinity or whatever, Spectrum, a carrier fee for the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're splitting it 50-50. So it's like you're increasing your revenue threefold by putting a movie out on VOD potentially.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's financially makes a lot more sense for
that movie,
for a smaller movie
right.
like King of Staten Island. I think Trolls, was was more of a push-pull kind of situation where they were forced into it. And it, I mean, 100 million, obviously, yeah, with all the money that they spent when they thought they were going to theatrical, and then the money that they spent when they switched over and went to VOD, like they clearly are on the hook for a lot more. And it's a bigger budget film, sequel to a big franchise, all of that. So they had to do something, but I don't think that movie will ever be considered profitable in the long run because of all of those
well, what it does is it destroys the downstream ancillary revenues. You know?
True.
So like all that other stuff is impacted. It's not like the typical chain that you have from theatrical to home video to whatever. Now it's just sort of you're shooting your shot all at once.
Yeah. Well, it was a rental, wasn't it? So they could theoretically still offer a purchase, like a.
I'm not sure what it probably
digital with like the bonus features and all that stuff, like they would normally do for a home video release. I think it was just a rental, but I could be wrong.
It could have been. I'm not sure. I know that one of them just increased it to $25. I think that's for Scoob. For purchase for Scoob, it'll be $25.
Like in-home, like you just purchase it outright.
Right. So Warner Brothers, I think, was just made it more expensive, anyways, and maybe that's because Scoob, maybe they think Scoob has a bigger audience or fan base than Trolls. I don't know. I mean, I think for a family, $20 was a bargain.
Yeah, I do too. Like if you're a family of four, I mean, it was going to be way more than that at the movies anyway.
Right. So I think Warner Brothers moving it up to 25 isn't that big a deal.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Universal announces the Pete Davidson thing. Then they take the next day they take a victory lap for Trolls World Tour in the Wall Street Journal, and in there Jeff Shell sort of indicates, hey, we're going to be releasing movies on both platforms, theatrically and on VOD. And AMC totally loses its shit, just like goes crazy and sends like this, basically bans Universal movies from AMC theaters around the world, which is a very bold step that is sort of, as I tweeted, it was cutting off their nose to spite their face. Like, this obviously hurts Universal, but it's going to hurt the theater owners too when you don't have people coming in for Fast and Furious and Jurassic and Minions.
Isn't No Time to Die Universal this fall?
So that's international, yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, well, we saw it on a smaller scale when they freaked out about Netflix. Like I think NATO has been the other NATO, the theater organization. Right. NATO's been freaking out about day and date releases and all of the in-home viewing for quite a while, and I understand why they're worried about it, because they do see the potential of it siphoning off their business, and maybe they wanted to make a big statement by throwing down the hammer on Universal and hoping that scares off everybody else from following suit. I do think I think it's a short-sighted move on the part of the theaters. I think but I also think that it was kind of like one of those big bold statements that they just kind of had to say to start the negotiations behind closed doors. Because I could see a scenario where they come to a middle ground. Maybe AMC Stubs members get access to a couple titles a year. I mean, there's so many other programs that are available, because MoviePass is another thing that AMC and everybody else freaked out about. And then we realized the only reason they were freaking out about it is because they didn't own it. And then they created their own versions, and now they're totally happy with the entire model because it's theirs and not somebody else's. So, I mean, there's going to be a resolution there somewhere. I just don't know what. You
can't blame Universal for putting Trolls 2 out after they'd already spent all the marketing money and had all the partnerships lined up and stuff. You can't fault them for trying to entertain families during a difficult time. No. I don't think you can fault them for thinking that, the math for a theatrical release, because again, the old math that we had 2 months ago is not this. Like, everyone's operating under different financial constraints these days. The math is completely different, and the math may not add up to spend $30 or $40 million promoting a Judd Apatow movie starring Pete Davidson.
Right.
as much as I love both of those guys. And so a VOD release simply makes more sense for that movie. And I suspect there's going to be a lot more studio movies where, you know, they take a look at the books and they're like, yeah, we can't be spending $40 million marketing this when people may not return to theaters at the level that they were before. That's the thing. I mean, I know I'm itching to get out of this apartment and go to the movie theater. Believe me, like very few people in this world miss movie theaters as much as I do. But are you really going to run out? Like if Tenet comes out in July and Governor Newsom lifts the order on July 1st or July 4th, are you actually going to go 2 or 3 weeks later to see Tenet?
I mean, it depends on the theater. I think I would be selective with what theater I choose. I think that the theaters that already have reserved seating in place make it a lot easier because they can literally just block out rows and swap seat breaks and all that other stuff. They have to prove that they're doing something proper when it comes to the cleaning between theaters. Because I think we can all agree that that's been a problem with theaters forever. They don't really clean as well as you would hope they would. So now they actually have to do it. The cloth seats are an issue. You know, there's a lot of question marks there.
They may have to put plastic coverings over every goddamn seat and then take the plastic out and throw it out after.
I was reading last night, the Florida Film Commission suggested a bunch of stuff for production to return. And the first line item they said was throw out director's chairs and replace them with plastic because we can disinfect the plastic instead of the canvas backs.
So I wanted to talk to you about that because you're obviously someone who knows his way around a set and is instrumental in Collider Video's production. You know, how do we return to set safely? Like what sort of precautions are we talking about here?
I mean, there's a lot of question marks. I've been reading like a lot of there's been a lot, the unions are starting to talk about all the precautions. I mean, certain productions are talking about it. Like Tyler Perry came out with a whole list of what he's doing in his Atlanta studio, where he's sequestering people because his studio is an old military base and he can like actually has beds that he can like kind of lock them on the set. Also, my favorite part of the Tyler Perry notice was that he acknowledged that his multicam sitcoms, they shoot 22 episodes in 2.5 weeks. They shoot two a day for 2.5 weeks, and they do a whole season. So like he's working in a different environment. It's a non-union house, and you know he can work a lot faster. So he's got a whole set of precautions in place for his stuff. I was reading the Florida stuff last night. They were talking about like things as strict as when actors are being placed for lighting and their marks and whatnot, to putting plastic barriers up to protect in between the actors, like those plastic drum sound barriers that you see at a concert, like just putting them in between like dividers while people are standing there and then pulling them out right before they shoot. So like until testing is widespread and LA County is actually now offering free testing for anyone in LA County, whether or not you have symptoms. My wife's going this afternoon. So I'll let you know how it goes, if it takes her 6 hours or what. But until widespread rapid testing is available, it's going to be hard. I mean, I was just reading The Voice on NBC is starting up shows in their studio again. The judges are going to remain home. The performances are going to happen on the stage, and they're going to test the crew and everyone on set twice a day and put colored wristbands on to show that they've passed their test during that half day.
Uh-huh.
And they're going from a normal complement, I think, with the audience of 450 people on the set to 30 spread out over 2 sound stages. So like, I mean, what does this do to the multicam sitcom? They're never going to have or a Saturday Night Live, late night talk shows with the live audience. Like, I don't see a scenario where the audiences return for this kind of stuff anytime soon. I don't see a scenario where single cam production is really tough when you're going on location for shoots. A lot of talk has been made about only filming on a soundstage or a back lot and keeping everything contained.
Right.
Whereas like the 20th Century Fox lot doesn't really have a back lot. All the shows at 20th Century Fox, like the Modern Family, which just ended, or Single Parents, and all those shows have to go into the neighborhood to film their exteriors at the houses because they don't have a backlot like Universal does. So how do you make that work? You can't travel into someone's house on a regular basis to shoot all this stuff because it's going to cross-contaminate and people are going to get worried. I mean, I don't see a scenario where location filming is even allowed for a year at this point, which is going to change everything. Not for film and especially for television, but for film, I mean, it's a whole new ballgame.
I mean, I read it, like, I was just talking with Steph yesterday, and it was like, it really hadn't hit me just how I think different life is going to be after this and forever. You know, I also read something on CNN last night that said it's going to be 2 years before this is, you know, this dies down, which seems like everyone thinks it's going to be like, oh, we're going to have a great summer. Like,
I mean, yeah, I mean, most of the stuff that I've read, it's like there's definitely going to be another wave. The question is whether or not they have testing and vaccines ready in time for that second wave, whether it's flu season in the fall or the winter, or if it's another outbreak because people don't listen to social distance guidelines. I don't know about you, but I'm itching to go to a bowling alley right now.
Yeah, people are saying bowling alleys are done. How does bowling even continue unless you bring your own ball? I
mean, it's everything changes if you start to extrapolate all the possibilities. Like there are so many just daily activities that you don't even realize are problematic in this new world order. And it's the unknown. It's the fear of the unknown. I mean, if you and I could order a test kit, you know, the same way that you go get a pregnancy test at the CVS or whatever, the grocery store, then it'd be a whole different thing. It's the fear that we don't know how we're going to get out of this, and then how that kind of changes everyone's thought patterns in the process. It's crazy.
All right. So what minute mark are we at? Around 40 minutes?
Probably. That sounds right.
All right. So we got about 20 minutes left in the show. Let's see. What did I want to talk about here?
I mean, what other news? I know you broke that Thurber thing yesterday. Was that you?
Yeah, no, I did the Spy vs. Spy story.
Yeah.
So that was Big Daddy calling. Not Adam Sandler. Yes, no. So Rawson Marshall Thurber is going to be directing the Spy vs. Spy movie. This is something that's been in development for like 10 years at least over at Warner Brothers and Imagine. In fact, between us, when I first hit up Warner Brothers, between us and viewers of the Sneider Cut podcast, when I reached out to Warner Brothers, they sent me to New Line. They were like, I don't think this is ours. New Line, is this you? And New Line's like, nope, not us. And then it was like, this is a Warner Brothers movie. It's just, super, super old.
Yeah.
And Spy vs. Spy makes a lot of sense for Rawson. I think he did Central Intelligence. It seems like
rewatching Dodgeball like 2 nights ago on HBO.
I mean, he's making the biggest, I guess, as short of Scorsese, the biggest Netflix movie ever, right?
Yeah.
This is an even bigger budget than Michael Bay's Six Underground, I think. This has got Ryan Reynolds plus The Rock and Gal Gadot, so it's not just Dave Franco anymore riding shotgun.
Yeah, Did Red Notice, did they finish principal photography?
No, they had to suspend filming, so as soon as, the production's able to resume and people feel safe on set, they will resume that.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I can't.
International, globe-trotting movie, exactly like you said. Are they going to be able to do that?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's a real question. I mean, I feel like feel like we're going to be getting a lot of like CG backplates and, you know, digital crowds, and the VFX teams are going to be, you know, putting down their animal fur technology for a bit while they just create scenes, because I feel like more and more stuff is just going to be forced to do green screen whether they want to or not.
Right. You know, I had a VFX guy reach out, and it's like, I think if they were someone who was working on a Netflix movie or project that shut down,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone's wondering, like, you know, we saw, this was more than a month ago. All the companies came out and said, we've got a $100 million relief fund. Netflix, $100 million relief fund. Sony, NBC, Universal, Warner Media. How many people out there are like, we're not seeing any of this money?
Where is it going to? It's the same. I mean, it's not much different than the problems that we're hearing about with the PPP small business loans.
And exactly, it's like, so, and I'm not saying that these companies aren't taking care of their employees, because they are. The problem is that so many, particularly in the VFX community, are third-party vendors.
Yeah.
And those third parties, I think that Netflix actually specifically said that some of their relief fund would go towards third parties. But I think it's a larger percentage of the workforce than Hollywood would care to admit. And I do think that those people are being taken care of.
I mean, I think that they've been historically taken advantage of for many years in the VFX community. And I think that it's not surprising that it would go out in this way right now. But visual effects actually reminded me, because weren't there a bunch of Oscar changes this week?
There were a bunch of Oscar changes, so but nothing.
Finally got stunts.
Effect. The sound
finally, no
stunts. Although, you know, there could be more changes down the line. Now they have one fewer award because they combine these sound categories. Sound editing and sound mixing will now just be best sound. Although that award will go up to 6 people, including, you know, editors and mixers.
Oh! So they increased the number of.
I believe so. The same number of awards can be awarded, because I think it was 3 max before.
Right. Yeah. So that makes sense.
Supervisor and 2 editors or 2 mixers or whatever.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Works. What else happened with the Oscars? Like, you know, they are now allowing everybody to vote for the best international film nominees. Before, it was like a panel of people that did it, who had to prove that they'd seen a certain amount or whatever, and then people, you know, the larger membership voted from the nominees, but now they get to influence those nominees.
Do you think that that's going to change the nominations? Because didn't they do that a couple years ago with the documentary category?
I think it's going to be it's going to be, you know, more of a popularity contest. There won't be as many movies where you're like, what is that? I haven't heard of that, but it turns out to be great. You know, it's going to go to the higher profile foreign language movies, and those movies are really going to have to spend, you know, to become that must-see title, whether it's, you know, regardless of its quality. Because the more people have seen it, the more people are inclined to vote for it if they like it.
Have the Oscars changed, made any announcements about the change to their FYC campaigns this year? Because I know the Emmys said that they've canceled all events around voting, that like no FYC events for the Emmys this year at all.
I don't know about you know, that stuff, particularly because I don't know how, like, Zoom is not part of like the Academy bylines, you know, like as far as event stuff, like it's all in-person stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you have food at your thing, or you know, you have to have a screening attached. But now, if it's just Zoom, like, is that a way to circumvent absolutely everything? And you can be Zooming with Leonardo DiCaprio, who's stumping for, you know, whatever it is.
They actually, when the Emmys announced it, they said specifically that you couldn't. They were also outlawing like filmed or recorded or live streamed events of any kind. So I think that would also that would spill down. So I don't know if the Oscars are going to follow suit, or if they're holding out hope that maybe by January, December we can do some in-person events. But talk about a group of people who are high risk. The Oscar voting body, like a room full of the Oscar voting body, is worse than
older people.
Yeah, I mean it's a hotbed.
And I think Nellie actually wrote an interesting piece about how productions, there may be fewer older cast members on set and crew members, frankly.
Yeah.
And ageism was already rampant in the industry. So that's kind of scary to think about, just erasing older actors from the picture because they're more susceptible.
I heard some productions are considering, for the time being, like television productions are considering nixing guest cast for the time being, and only using their primary principal members for safety reasons, which makes sense, but it also shuts out an entire group of people that would normally be working as guest cast or extras, or the ripple effect for all of the people that are affected, background talent, and I'm assuming, stunts are probably. I think creatively they're just going to write smaller projects. Like they're going to rework their stuff to be smaller so that they don't have to deal with a lot of the unknown, like the quantity, hard to what am I saying?
I don't know.
I need another coffee. It's but like the pieces of the production that are going to be more difficult and more challenging, they might just cut it completely.
Getting back to the Oscar changes, they got rid of, or they announced this is going to be the last year with physical DVD screeners, I believe. Which I love getting those screeners, but if it's easier to get them digitally, like I'm all for that too. And then the big thing is that VOD titles are going to be eligible. So this movie,
right?
The Pete Davidson Judd Apatow movie that was intended for theatrical release. That is the important part. So a movie that was never going theatrical, it was always slated to be on VOD, that is not suddenly eligible. It has to be intended, and they have the calendar and what that calendar was at least supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And so like the Hugh Jackman movie. Did you watch Bad Education on HBO?
Yes, I thought it was incredible, and I am so disappointed that it wasn't ever intended to be theatrical. Because I think it's the best performance of Hugh's career.
I think so too. I think he was excellent. It's a very, very good movie.
Yeah.
So if you haven't, seen it yet, go on HBO and check out Bad Education. But that's going to be competing for like an Emmy and a Golden Globe on the TV side.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the Emmys have split movie and miniseries again. So because of the rebirth of the limited series and stuff. So it'll be on an equal footing. They won't have to be going up against a Chernobyl kind of style show. But I just think that it didn't feel like, you watch some HBO movies and it feels like a TV movie, like that string of Pacino movies that he did, where it was like Joe Paterno and then he was Kevorkian and stuff. Like those felt like TV movies, and which I love. I very much enjoy watching a TV movie, but it's a very different type of film. This easily could have been a theatrical release. It obviously, from a monetary standpoint, I understand why they went with the high bid to send it to HBO, but like it's kind of sad. I wonder if once HBO Max comes out, if they're going to follow kind of the Netflix route and try to sneak a few films into eligibility by doing like a short window,
right,
to see if they can compete in the same way that Netflix does.
We know HBO Max has the Melissa McCarthy movie Superintelligence. They also just picked up this week the Seth Rogen movie An American Pickle. I wonder if HBO Max is going to be the type of streamer that chases Oscars the way Netflix and Amazon are doing.
I mean, I feel like chasing awards has become almost as important to these streamers as chasing subscribers. Like because they're all looking for the top tier talent, and if they can acquire top tier talent, then it's great. I mean, like the new Scorsese movie is still currently at Paramount, right?
Right, yes, exactly. They haven't found anybody new to pay for it, as far as I know.
Yeah,
it's an expensive proposition for a lot of people, particularly The Irishman didn't win anything.
No, it's true.
You know, and this movie maybe even tougher given the subject matter. So yeah, it's tricky. I am going to be curious to see what happens with that Scorsese movie. I wanted to run down the headlines for the last 10 minutes of the show. There was a lot going on. I can't believe we didn't get to any of it. Gina Rodriguez starring in a movie called The Aliens Are Stealing Our Weed. Did you see that story?
No, but I love the title.
Yeah, it's great. It's got weed, it's got aliens, it's got Gina Rodriguez.
I mean, that's a go picture right there. Like, what more do you need?
Yeah, Paramount bought that spec, and it's from the writer of The Eternals. That's one of the Marvel movies that got delayed.
Yeah, okay.
The Tiffany Haddish, Eric Andre movie, Bad Trip.
That was a South by.
It was going to be at South by. Apparently, it leaked on Amazon. They put it up early, and they realized it quickly and took it down. But at the same time, you know, pirates noticed, and it's now been pirated. So I wonder if that's going to cost MGM further millions on top of, you know, I think it's going to cost them $30 million to delay the James Bond movie.
Oh wow! Do you think Do you think that was real? I don't want to be conspiratorial, but like, do you think that because it's a movie about pranks. It's from like the creators of the Jackass, like Bad Grandpa stuff.
Build a little buzz, maybe.
I mean, I haven't heard about it since South by. Like, I hadn't heard that title mentioned at all. I didn't know it was going to Amazon. I had no clue.
I don't know. I think.
But I also don't know if MGM wanted to lose money on pirates.
Yeah, I think exactly. I think it's being torrented. I don't know if that's a good thing for this movie. Adam Sandler was buried in this little story. He's producing this movie Dan Pan for Netflix. I didn't know what it was about, so we didn't even bother writing about it. Space Jam 2 unveiled a new logo. Are you watching the Jordan doc?
I don't have ESPN. It's one of the only channels. I'm not a big sports guy, and so I save a ton of money by getting rid of the sports channels.
I don't have ESPN either, but I think I use my brother's cable login.
Yeah, I'm gonna do
digital.
It's 10 episodes, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll try to binge them all or binge them in a couple parts. With like
pretty great. Yeah. Pretty great. I wonder if he's going to talk about Space Jam at all. Ron Howard directing 13 Lives. This is a movie about the Thai cave rescue. There's a few projects in the works. One from the creators of Free Solo, one from Kevin McDonald. I mean, are you excited to see this story dramatized?
I mean, I probably wouldn't see it, to be honest with you.
Did you see the 33, the Miners movie?
I didn't.
It's basically, I mean, this is just like the 33 with younger people who's, I mean, I don't know if the language thing will be a barrier for English-speaking audiences, you know, who traditionally don't support foreign films, unfortunately, although Parasite was an exception to that rule, obviously. The Thai cave movie, I mean, it makes sense for Ron Howard. He's had luck with the number 13 before, Apollo 13, but I don't know. There's a rival Boeing 737 MAX documentaries in the works. This is like the new
Fire Fest all over again.
Netflix is doing one. Participant is doing one. Focus, another Universal company, is sending the high note to VOD. It sounds like, judging from reports. I don't think there's been a formal announcement about that, but that also makes a lot of sense. That's the Dakota Johnson, Tracy Ellis Ross movie. I want to say.
Okay.
Ice Cube, that could be on VOD next month. Adam Driver starring in Jeff Nichols' next movie, Yankee Commandante. Did you see Midnight Special?
No, it's been on my list forever, and I haven't seen it.
What do you think of Adam Driver as an actor? Are you impressed? Do you think he could win an Oscar one day?
I think he could with the right material.
Did you watch Girls?
Yeah, I loved him in Girls.
Yeah, okay. He was great.
He was great.
Transformers is doing an animated prequel. I guess that's been in the works actually for a few years, but now it has a director because it's moving forward. It's a lot easier to do animation apparently now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can work remotely a lot easier and do the VO separately and everything.
Right. So they landed Toy Story 4 director Josh Cooley. I really liked Toy Story 4. Were you a fan of that one?
I did. I thought it was a really good. I didn't expect to like it, but I liked it a lot.
Harrison Ford flying onto other people's runways. What is up with this guy?
I mean, I saw so many tweets that were basically like, how long does it take before we all just realize Harrison Ford's trying to go? Like he keeps doing this. Like I don't know why he still has a pilot's license. I I don't get it.
Yeah, the FAA's got to launch an investigation into this guy. He's going to get somebody killed.
Yeah, it's not safe at this point.
Wes Ball, the Maze Runner director, directing something called The First 15 Lives of Harry August. It kind of has like a Groundhog Day feel where a guy lives the same life over and over and over. He has to figure out, I don't know what the hell. These movies are all kind of the same, aren't they?
I mean, I feel like I've seen more Groundhog Day premises lately than I did in the mid-'90s after the movie came out.
Right, the Andy Samberg movie coming out, Palm Springs, is supposed to be another one of those movies.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Really good.
I didn't see it at Sundance.
Were you there for the Joe Carnahan screening?
Yes, I was.
What'd you think of that movie?
I think it'll be good. I think it's a fine movie. It is a fine movie for Netflix.
Yeah. Okay.
They really want theatrical. I think it is a perfect Netflix movie.
Yeah, fair enough.
Did you watch it? Did you see Extraction?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we can talk Extraction for a minute. I thought it was good. I liked it, but I mean, it was really just the action. Everything else was so stupid.
Yeah, it was two really, really good action sequences. I thought that the big sequences were fantastic. I thought that Hemsworth was, fine, and
yeah, he was good. I also liked the Indian guy. I forget the character's name.
Yeah,
that guy was a badass.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Again, it was a really good Netflix movie.
With the last shot, though, who do you think is there in the last shot watching The Boy?
Well, yeah, because we did a couple of interviews with we did an interview with
spoiler warning.
We did an interview with Russo. What'd you say?
I'm doing a spoiler warning for. Although
if you haven't seen it,
a zillion people have already seen this movie since it's on Netflix.
Yeah, I think it's like the number one.
Good guy or bad guy, though?
Oh, I think it's a good guy.
I think so too. I think it's clearly implied to be Hemsworth.
Yeah, I mean, the director said that they filmed it multiple ways and then tested it and went with the ambiguous way.
Yeah, I mean, that was the right way. I like that because my girlfriend was like, "Oh, those are the bad guys who are like, keeping tabs on this kid," because that threat was always going to be there if they just returned him to his dad.
Right.
But yeah, I was like, no, that is clearly a good guy watching out for him. Oh, also, Irfan Khan died this week. Really sad. Yep. He was really good in Slumdog Millionaire, Life of Pi. I never saw The Lunchbox, but I heard he was wonderful in that. And this other film, I think it was The Warrior. Any favorite performances of his? I
mean, yeah, I think Slumdog is definitely the one that sticks out. I think that he was a really, really impressive actor in that film. And I saw, was it Hanks that did a tribute to him talking. There was a story that was going around about him meeting up with him at an award show and saying like he was going to steal his tone, the way he spoke softly in films and stuff, because then he would be considered like somewhat of a good enough actor.
I have not seen that story. Now I got to track it down. It sounds like a Tom Hanks thing to do.
Yeah.
We have a few more minutes in this episode. David Leitch producing this movie Fast and Loose about a guy with amnesia who wakes up in Tijuana and he's got two lives. One as a CIA agent and one as like a drug kingpin. That sounds like it could be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that premise a bunch. There's a couple of TV shows and stuff, but if they do it well, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, we did a Collider Connected with him this week, with him and Chad Stahelski.
Yeah.
So check that out on Collider if you haven't yet. We also ran a list of the Paul Thomas Anderson movies ranked. I did not agree with the number one.
Neither did I.
What is your favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie?
I mean, I think I kind of have. It's either Magnolia or. I'm really partial to The Master.
Oh, wow. You're one of those people.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't, his worst movies are still better than most everything else on the planet, but.
Sure, of course. Let's credit you with Magnolia. Let's give you your version. For me, it's between Magnolia and Boogie Nights, but I
just wanted to be difficult by not saying Boogie.
I know you did. Daft Punk scoring Dario Argento's Black Glasses. I've never really loved Argento's stuff. Not a big Giallo guy, but I do like Daft Punk. They're cool. Man, after our last episode, there was a bunch of Sony, Spider-Man, and Marvel dates that were shuffled. Like, it really did seem like Disney was doing Sony a solid by giving them like some of their dates.
I think that conversation was definitely had. I mean, you're not going to have two Spider-Man properties bumping up against each other, especially because they did figure it out. Like, Feige's still helping them produce these movies, right? Like, they're not doing them completely independently. Even the Venom, I mean, they're still talking. So, of course, they're not going to step on each other.
Right. Sony, I mean, Disney and Marvel are invested in the way that Sony uses the character and when and all that. By the way, did you watch the Middleditch and Schwartz stuff? Yeah,
I saw you tweeting about it. But yeah, I've seen 2 of the 3. And I love both those guys, and I fully adored both of the ones that I've seen so far. I think the second one's a little bit funnier than the first one because it's kind of off the rails. The first one's a little bit more linear in the way they're telling the story. But as someone that has always been impressed by improv actors and never really that good at it personally, I was really impressed to watch them work, and it was fun.
See, I'm one of those arrogant assholes who thinks that they could go to UCB and be like the best guy on the PAC sketch team or some shit. I don't even know. I am generally wary of improv when it's done well, and people have chemistry. And I'm sure, these two they did have some chemistry, but I really only watched for like 10, 15 minutes, and I was like, I can't do this. Can't do it.
Yeah.
It's not for me.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, but if you like either of them or you like some funny improv stuff, like it's really well done. I appreciate the well done long form improv like this.
I do like both those guys. Maybe I'll try a different episode. Mission Impossible 7 and 8 were delayed mainly because production had to shut down. Who knows if they're going to end up going back to Italy. Ryan Reynolds taking over an old Tom Cruise project called Our Name Is Adam that will reteam him with Free Guy director Sean Levy. Are you excited for Free Guy?
I mean, sure. I'm not excited's the wrong word. I will see it, probably. Maybe.
Okay. Lord of the Flies, the movie that they've been developing for an all-female cast. They're going back to the book. It's going to be all guys. That's, maybe it's for the best, but I was kind of looking forward to a different take on things. We talked about SNL at home. I really like that Miley Cyrus. Really like that Pink Floyd cover this week.
It was good. It was good.
David Gordon Green doing an HBO series based on Hellraiser. This made no sense to me at the time. It still doesn't make any sense to me. I watched Hellraiser this week for the first time. Wasn't a big fan.
It's not my genre, but it's. I mean, he's proven he could revive Halloween, so it makes sense from that perspective. Is this going to HBO Max or is this HBO
proper HBO? They're looking like they've been looking to do something dark for a while. I think Demi-Monde was another thing that they were trying to do. Anyways, I don't know. It's just not for me. I don't really like horror television. I talk more about that with Mark Riley on his podcast Camp Blood. You can check that out wherever Mark Riley's podcasts are found. I also would recommend Dorian Parks launching a podcast this week, Parks and Recommendations. Any other plugs for you and your friends, Thadd?
Well, the season finale of Eating History is next week. Makuga's show. I don't know. Have you watched it? It's very
maybe 4 or 6 episodes. I want to finish it.
I binged through a couple of them this week, and they're highly entertaining. If for no other reason than just to watch their reactions when they eat this crap. Sure. But they did one with old Oreos this past week that was very funny.
I really like it. I think Makuga's hilarious. He's really good on the show. I just had some Oreos that were like 1 week stale, so I can only imagine it didn't taste very good. So I can't imagine what it's like to eat old Oreos. Where can the good folks find you at home, Thadd?
Well, yeah, I'm just here.
You're literally find you at home, but
just ring my doorbell.
What is your address?
You can yell at me at Thadd Williams, 2 D's, 2 L's.
2 D's, 2 L's.
Yeah.
That should be on your business cards. I am the InSneider on Twitter, Instagram, and Cameo. And I did a couple of things. I did a JTE trivia match about Pulp Fiction on Video Drew's channel. You can check that out. I was on the Call to Action podcast recently or last night talking shit about Ben Bateman. And I did a podcast with Todd Garner. I don't know if that's out yet, but he had me on his producer's podcast, even though I produced nothing of note. And thank you to him for doing that. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Sneider Cut. Stay safe out there. Wash your hands. Wear your mask. And I will see you next Friday if Thadd wins.